and to continue. So, lead.
A woman waits while a man in a truck fills 2 of her buckets with scoops of whitish powder from a bin. She sees you staring.
Want to make some cash?
She calls. She takes you up the drive to her farmhouse, where her son and daughter are mixing something in a metal barrel.
Locust bait.
She says,
Poison. The town bought enough for everyone, but we gotta mix it ourselves.
she'll pay you to help. You use a broom handle to mix the poison with bran. The teens watch from the porch, faces frozen in distrustful scowls. Their mother pays you well, but later in the day you feel lightheaded, tingling pins and needles all over. You feel only a little better after you vomit.
Columbus.
Here, can you find her? His voice is soft, cooing. He's lowered himself down so that his head is level with the two blonde-topped boys next to him. Can you find Grandma? They're pulling ears of corn off stalks with uncommon gentleness. You don't really say anything. You're just interrupted by the sight of the man's face, a subtle hole under his eye socket.
I didn't see you there.
The wormy body of a stalk borer crawls out of his skull.
You'd best be moving on, Drifter.
The girl tilts her basket away to hide whatever's inside.
You want to see what I got? I'm not telling.
She raises her eyebrows, encouraging you to pry further. This girl is either very confident or too young to know shyness.
Ha! Got you hooked. Too easy.
She twists her lips to one side, mimicking a more adult, thoughtful gesture.
I'll tell you what. I'll show you what's in the basket if you do something for me.
The girl frowns.
You're being very boring, you know.
She sighs melodramatically, puts the basket on the ground, and removes a small blanket from inside.
Look.
3 tiny kittens snuggle up at the bottom.
Ma gave him to me after Dad took sick. She didn't want me bothering him. Thought this might distract me.
She won't meet your eye.
He's dying. She thinks I don't know.
She looks away, trying to hide abrupt tears. The baby buffalo lies tangled by a fence, wire biting into its flesh. "Please," it says, "I must reach the sanctuary before they find me." The light here has a thin quality. Colors are oddly muted. There's a taste of something old in the air. They were hunters of my kind. I am the last born. Every year it repeats. I must run. They must chase. It is the cycle that lets my people survive. You hear hoofbeats. A ways back down the road, a cloud of dust rises. The buffalo struggles. "Please, help me." The wire cuts into your hands, but you untangle the animal. The buffalo charges off as soon as it's free. "Come on." You glance behind. A trio of riders emerges at the head of the dust cloud. You run alongside the buffalo. "Not far," it grunts. "Just ahead." You see the boundary, a line of rocks that mark the border, but the hoofbeats sound close. The ground dips, and the beast stumbles and falls. They'll be on you any second. You stand defiant in the path of the riders. They're coming in fast, wreathed in dust, but you hold your nerve. The lead rider veers at the last moment. The other two haul on the reins, sending their horses sliding. You're thrown into the dirt. The buffalo crosses the line and turns with a defiant bellow, a primal sound that far outstrips its size. It drags its feet through the dirt, kicking up a cloud of dust. When it settles, the four are nowhere to be seen. You hear the distant clamor of a herd in motion.
Hello again. So nice to see you here once more. Please, take a seat, I insist. You'd like to hear more about being a porter for Mr. George Pullman? Why, of course. Have any optimistic tales? I'd like to hear one of those. Just like I told you, friend, miles of smiles. The past, that's a tricky thing. Yes, porters may remind you of a certain type of way folks of our type used to be. There's no fighting that, just happily working past it. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got me? Might not be telling that one to the boys, actually. But sadness. No sadness here. When you ride on one of Mr. George Pullman's sleeping cars, you leave your sadness behind. I can personally assure you of that. Anyway, I'm in the mood for a good happy story. You got any? Not sure my brothers will find that one particularly scary. Authority? Hopefully people who ride in a Pullman car feel a little of that. It's about more than a train ride. And not everyone knows what it's like to be the boss, to know what it feels like to be skillfully served. Pullman porters give you a taste, so boss George Pullman will know you'll be back for more. You got any stories with a bit of excitement to them? That one will probably ruin the mood if I share it in our quarters. If you're looking for freedom, just think about how magnificent a train is, how the railroad binds this country together. Hop on and go anywhere. That's freedom, and that's my life. Anyway, you must have some funny stories to tell. Share one. I'll keep this story in my pocket for sure. It'll make some passenger laugh. Traps. Imprisonment? Well, there's a difference between a train you have to ride and a train you get to ride. We porters want that difference to be us. Another night over. I surely did enjoy all those stories, though. Maybe next time I'll let down my hair a bit. What do you say? You must excuse me, friend. What kind of porter am I saying this trip is all about you, only to start talking about my own damn self? But enough of my indulgences. I hope I see you again.
The storm swept in just before sundown, heralded by a purple sky and electricity in the air. He sought shelter alongside a grizzled farmer. All he can do is pace, muttering to himself.
Can't just stay here.
You catch.
Gotta find her.
He looks up at you.
My daughter was out down the road.
He balls his fists.
God, fuck this.
He hauls open the door, shielding his face from the fierce dust. He runs out into the storm. The dust scours your skin, and razor winds whip at your clothing. You struggle for breath. The maelstrom has turned the world murky red. You don't see the farmer. You press on through the storm. You see the farmer up ahead. He's on his knees. A great, dark shape made from swirling dust looms over him. You manage no more than a cough. The dust thing engulfs the man in his body. The storm whips faster. You can't breathe. You have to get back to shelter. You make it to safety, but don't manage any sleep. The storm settles in the early hours. You find the farmer laid out in the street, his corpse a shriveled mass. He has one arm stretched out in front of him, as if to crawl.
You have died!
Bad luck again, but there's no shame in dying. Everyone does it. You still have a job to do. But if you want to learn anything more from me, now is the time. And I'm sure we'll end up seeing more of each other before you're through. I'm your boss in the sense that you owe me, and so I get to tell you how to pay the debt, but I'm not in charge. On the one hand, the past is dead and gone. On the other, it seems like it always has lessons to teach that no one ever learns. You met my family. They're yours now, I suppose. Who do you think we were playing with? They're an odd lot. But whose family isn't? Are you noticing that maybe time isn't as solid as you thought? There are some people you'll meet from the future, sure. They all have important things to say. People love this country, but in so many ways. Unrequited, passionate, desperate, innocently, despite it all. Go on your way, Seeker. I'm sure we'll meet at least once more. Think about what we've discussed, and good luck on the rest of your task.
Well, I'm gonna scrawl my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman come for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much behind to drag me down. Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that.
The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue, unusual in this region where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence. Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out to their full breadth. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family. glass frames stained brown from smoke.
The night come down for to take me hand in hand. This will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale.
The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that dwarfs the house itself. It's eerily still, but for two boys at play. Each one so small and light, they barely leave tracks in the deep snow. The clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key is worn. But night approaches, and the price is low. Just before you shut the room door, there they are, the twins, staring at you from the corridor. In the morning, as you leave, the clerk asks, "Did you sleep well?" Too tired to lie, you tell him about the noise outside your door, the trampling of small feet on the corridor outside, the dreams disturbed with violent and hideous images. "That's odd," he says, weak-eyed. "There are no children staying with us." The man is the color of mill dust. His smile creases his face like folds in dough. He gestures you inside the dilapidated structure and shouts over the sound of driving wheels.
You're welcome to sleep here. You don't want to rest by the river. Not in the evening. Insects.
Man shoves the broken door closed behind you. The mill is warm, and the air is heavy with the powder kicked up by your entrance. You realize how easy it would be to drift off on this pile of sacks, to the loud but constant sound of the grinding wheels. Pain sears your spine. Why did you sleep at this ridiculous angle? Your back complains from being draped over the millstone. That's good the mill is totally abandoned. Its works long ago disconnected, or your legs would have been pulverized. The man is gone. This is not a place to linger. Low tide on a moonless night. This beach is long, stretching toward a receding sea. In the darkness, the sand seems coarse and gray, alien. The stars are dim and distant. It outshines the stars with its presence, a streak of sickly colored light, leaving a trail of distorted fire. It slowly creeps along the sky like a vast worm, though you know that, given the distance, it must be moving at great speed. Its parabola heads south to north. In the far distance, just for a second, A boardwalk town is engulfed in light. With a rumble, its street lamps and windows dim, then go dark. All that you can see emanating from there is an otherworldly color that you can't quite name.
Made it to Richmond, and see you next time. This is what I would call a very slow-paced, unusual walking simulator.